Nigeria calls itself a democracy, but in 60 years, no woman has ever been elected governor. Talk more of president. Women dominate activism online. They lead protests, they build movements, and shape national conversations every single day. So the question is not whether Nigerian women are capable of leadership. The question is what happens to women who try to take power here. Every single time women engage in politics in Nigeria, there are stories of violence. Whether it's threats, smear campaigns, harassment, sometimes sexual harassment, assault, or even headlines designed to destroy credibility before a woman can even speak out. Many young Nigerian women are beginning to believe that politics is not for them, and it's just not worth the risk. This is basically political gender-based violence, and it's worth talking about. What it was designed to do is to exclude women, keep women out of politics, keep women out of leadership positions. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sharimam. On this channel, I talk about a wide range of things. I have diverse interests, and politics is one of my interests. One day we're going to talk about whether it was my choice or whether it was just a function of my socialization. But yeah, politics is something I enjoy talking about. It's something that I do every day at work, something that I've grown to enjoy. I am a lawyer by training, and so obviously I do a lot of work with policies in general. But yeah, why I decided to talk about this was mostly because last year I was privileged to join an innovation lab on democracy, and it was hosted by Yaga Africa. If you know Yaga Africa, they are an NGO, a CSO here in Abuja, Nigeria. They do a lot of work around democracy, governance, and things like that. So young people like myself, basically Gen Z, the name of the innovation lab was Gen Z Democratic Innovation Lab. We were invited to come just brainstorm. They wanted to pick our minds, see where we're at as a generation. We spoke about politics. In fact, we were asked to describe the state of Nigerian democracy using one mainstream singer, and guess who I mentioned? So I'm not going to mention it now simply because I don't want wahala, but at some point I would say it. Yeah, it was fun. It was really fun, and we're able to brainstorm, and from our conversations it just confirmed one thing I had always known. The reason why women are not really involved in politics is because there have been precedents of women who have attempted to go into politics, engage in politics, and most times they are bullied, right? And most times they don't scale to the top. They don't get, even if they work hard for the positions that they aspire to get, they rarely ever get them. So I decided to write a paper based on what we did at the innovation lab and my general findings. And being a young woman who over the years has been working around policy governance, I made a few observations, being that in the National Assembly, the current National Assembly, 10th Assembly, there's only 4% of women that occupy seats at the National Assembly. Out of 400 plus seats, just 4% of 400 plus seats are women, and that's, in comparison to other places around the world, I think that's really low. So I decided to write on it, and for me, if you ask me, I don't even think money is the major reason why women don't engage in politics as other places women engage in politics. I don't think so, because if you look at it, most times, okay, what about the Labour Party politician? I think his name is Donatus or something, from Kaduna State, who scaled through the elections and won the seat for House of Reps. He was an Okada driver. He didn't have money. Most of the women that I'll be talking about in this video arguably had more money than him, but with all their fighting, with everything that they did, they were not able to attain the seats that they aspire to have. For me, I think the number one reason women don't engage in politics in Nigeria is violence. We've seen it. We see it. Even up till this month, I'm recording this video in May 2026. Up until this month, I saw it. And this is what my paper was on. And since I know a lot of people don't read academic papers per se, I was like, you know what, let me just make a video on this because this is something that we need to talk about as a society. There is the tendency to think gender-based violence is just physical violence and it just exists at the home front, right? But there's something called political gender-based violence, and it has 5 phases. So there's the physical, there's the psychological, there's the sexual, there's the economic, and then there's the online facet of political gender-based violence. These are very different and they are self-explanatory. I don't think I need to really break down what each of them are, but then I'll just briefly say something about each. So physical, clearly when someone tries to harm you physically. Psychological, they work on your mind. They, like the smear campaigns, that's what those smear campaigns are about. They try to mess you up psychologically, right? So that you're not fit, or so that you just don't attain that position that you want to attain. There's the economic one, people basically trying to extort from you, trying to abuse you, financially abuse you. There's stories of party men just trying to extort money from you because you need their support and you are a woman, and if they don't support you, there's no how you're going to scale since they are the majority in the party. Then there's also the digital or the online facet of abuse or violence. So that's basically using technology to harass someone or to just attack the person for no reason, or just basically weaponizing the internet, the digital space against someone. So it could be by doxing, which is like publishing their address or their phone number. It could be by cyber threats, coordinated attacks, deep fakes, things like that. In my research, I got a few names. I found a number of women who had to encounter political gender-based violence in their ambition to hold political office. And first on my list is Hajiya Gambo Sawaba. She's late now, but she's known for her resilience. She was a northern Nigerian activist in the colonial era. Now just imagine that, first of all, coming from the north and then the colonial era. Hajiya Gambo Sawaba was the most jailed female politician ever. I think up until now, she's been like the most jailed female politician. She was repeatedly harassed and publicly shamed. Basically, I heard she was jailed 16 times. 16 times. She was just stubborn, right? And they used her to show women that if you try this is what will happen to you. Her punishment was literally a warning to every woman watching. So you can see that this political gender-based violence playbook is over 70 years old. By the way, just on a side note, my father wrote a book on Hajiya Gambo Sawaba, and I'll leave a link to his Amazon page so you can get it if you want to read it. But if you're based in Nigeria, just let me know if you want to read a copy of his book. Another case study I found for my paper was late Salome Abu. She was burned alive. You know how they have women leaders for parties? She was a woman leader for her party, PDP. And these people burned her alive. She was from Kogi State. And based on what I found online, after elections, political thugs were not happy. So they traced her to her house and they set the house ablaze, burned her alive. Her ashes were found after the fire went down. So tragic. Like, really, there was another story I found online, but I didn't get much right regarding her. But then it was documented. This happened in 2002. Is it 2003? A lady named Emily. They poured acid on this woman, and she did not recover from it. She died. So this violence, like, they don't care if you die, so long as you get in their way. They do everything to remove you. And for Salome Abu, what I keep pondering on was the fact that she wasn't running to become the governor of her state, neither was she running to become the president of Nigeria. She was just a ward level leader, but yet she was burned alive. Basically, no level of political participation is protected at any point, whether it's ward level, whether it's local government level, state level, whatever it is. You are not exempted as a woman if you decide to engage in politics. And it also proved something. Violence is not just used before or during elections, it's also used after elections. Basically punishes women for having dared the system or having dared the men who are in this system. Another case study from my research is Honorable Ndlovu Ukeje. Funny enough, I came across the article from Reuters many years ago. I think the year it came out, I saw it, and I've always loved seeing women in leadership positions. So I just took a liking to her and I just followed her. When the article was released, I came across it and I was like, well, yo, this thing is crazy. For Honorable Ndlovu Ukeje was a former federal legislator and she had already broken through to national office. However, she still faced political gender-based violence, but hers was mostly through like psychological harassment and deliberate undermining. So I know in her interview, she did say that there was a time that thugs came to scatter her campaign. So they didn't directly harass her. It was a campaign, like a gathering of people, but then they came and then they scattered it. And we know that the aim was to make her feel unsafe, was to make her know that they were on her back and they were after her, right? So obviously when you experience that, you wouldn't be at rest. It's a form of psychological harassment. And she did say it herself in the article that I read. She said violence is scaring women away from politics. And Honorable Ndlovu Ukeje, I 100% agree with you. As a young Nigerian woman who does a lot of work around policy, I most certainly do not aim or will not consciously, happily, just on a random day just say I'm going to run for office. I don't foresee myself doing something like that because I am very much scared of the violence in politics. Next woman on my list of case studies is late Senator Aisha Jumai Al-Hassan. Quite dear to my heart because she's from my state, or she was from my state. But she died a couple of years ago. She died she was sick and then she passed. But then she was a senator and she became a minister. She's actually one of the few women that scaled to the very top of governance or politics in Nigeria, because women are still a minority in governance in Nigeria. I'll be honest and say I didn't always like her for reasons that were not mine, like inherited reasons. Now that I've grown and now that I understand a lot of things better, I actually believe that Taraba State was unfair to that woman, because based on what I know, she won the elections, but you know how the thing is with INEC and the Electoral Act and how it works in Nigeria. She was basically disqualified at like the very last minute, and turns out the person that now took over the governorship position right after her, now this is my personal opinion, please, like the person that now took the seat after she was disqualified, the person did not really perform up to expectation, right? So sometimes I now wonder, I'm like, what if we allowed her? She would have been, first of all, she would have been the first female governor of Nigeria, or like the first female governor to emerge in Nigeria, and who knows, she would have done a better job. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I think the system was very unfair to her because the masses loved her, but for some reason, you know how INEC always finds technicalities, and she was disqualified. There were also smear campaigns. Oh my goodness, like I said, it was because of the smear campaigns that I just did not really like her, right? And I think I'm ashamed to admit that because I should have known better, but then I was younger. But right now, there's no amount of smear campaign that will make me just believe something just because I always do my research. And then before she passed, she alleged some orchestrated attacks. Basically, you can see how the media, the propaganda against that woman was really a weapon, and that's what they do most times towards women. Because me here, I never knew of her until election period, and for some reason I believed what the media had to say about her. So you can see how party structure, the Electoral Act, and media can actually work against women that try to get political offices in, or women that try to attain political office in Nigeria. Next on my list is Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. I've always loved Senator Natasha. Before she became a senator, I used to see her. It was my brother that asked me to watch her because she's a lawyer, and he just thought he saw someone that kind of mirrored how outspoken I was, and he thought I would like her, and I actually did like her from her times of talking and advocating for Ajao Kuta Steel Company. I used to watch her and I really liked her, right? And so when she picked up a form and said she was running for office, I was very happy. However, we all saw how the men from Kogi State did everything they could to stop this woman. The first time they succeeded, because they succeeded in quotes, because she always fought back, right? We saw how she did not win the elections, the general elections, but then she was the party ticket holder for her party, I think SDP as of that time. But then the second time around, when she decided to run, she actually won it with so much fight. We saw, all of us, every single one of us saw what was done to her by the men in her state. So it's not even up for arguments, and that's just one of the examples. There are so many stories that we've not heard. Hers is just, I'm sure because she's very vocal, we're able to know that this extent of violence was perpetrated against her. And again, it also shows that, first of all, her family name is not a small name at all. Both her father's name and her husband's name, they're not small names. However, smear campaigns, so many things were done against her, and it just shows that, yeah, so you may even be from a prominent family or whatever, but then this violence will still find you whenever you decide to run for public office or run for a political office. There is a number of several other cases. People like Gertrude Nja, who was a commissioner in Cross River State, and she was kidnapped. There's also Betty Appiah. She got a lot of death threats. Yeah, there's just a lot of stories, and at every level of office, every region, the same story, the same playbook. Now, like the title of my paper said, it basically just described political gender-based violence as the reason why Gen Z women, by extension younger Nigerian women, disengage with politics in Nigeria. And from all the case studies I just mentioned, you can tell that these things do not happen in isolation. They have ripple effects. Now let's talk about the legal vacuum. So clearly the Electoral Act does not contain any provision that protects women from violence. The Electoral Act of 2022 was what I criticized in my paper. However, the Electoral Act has been reviewed, but still the update has no protection for women. And I really think that, considering our unique factor in this country and how women go through violence, I really think that the main law governing elections should contain some provisions that protects women from violence, since it's a thing. It's my strong opinion. I really believe so. I also think that the penalties for the general violence in elections are not sufficient, and I also think that enforcement is inconsistent, but that's a subject for another day. Generally, political gender-based violence leans heavily on the VAP Act of 2015 and then the VAP law in different states. Bear in mind that I think it's just one state that still not signed the VAP law into an actual law in the state, right? And there's still holes to fill, because Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act does not explicitly mention political gender-based violence. It doesn't, it talks about violence in a generic manner, but it doesn't even mention this specifically. And then when you're talking about political gender-based violence, I said it has different faces, right? And it doesn't explicitly mention some of those faces. For example, online gender-based violence, which is an emerging area in gender-based violence. If we constitute over 50% of the population in Nigeria, we should be able to make laws that pertain to us, simply because we can't have people who do not understand us, who do not understand the peculiarities to being a woman, right? Make laws. Those laws will be tone deaf. It's just facts. I read a report from around early 2000s. As of that time, it was about, I think, 6%. We are in 2026 and it's going down. Is that, as in, we are regressing, we are not progressing? I think that's a red flag. I think women should make laws for women. It's a no-brainer. It's really a no-brainer. The people deciding on our bodies, on our safety, on our rights, on our maternity should be like us. They should look like us. It maybe not all, but at least a good portion should look like us, because then the laws will be more nuanced, and like, I would feel as a Nigerian that my laws have been made for me. I was considered before these laws were put in place. You can't really govern people well if you have no experience of being them. So it's been found that countries with more women in political office pass more laws expanding women's economic rights. It's also been found that governments where women hold at least half of minister positions score 17 percentage points higher on the World Bank's Legal Equality Index. It's also been found that greater share of women in parliament leads to better health and education outcomes. Journal of Economic Development 2021. It's also found that parliamentary gender quotas are linked to reduction in maternal mortality rates. Of course, I told you it's a no-brainer. It's just facts. Like I said, if women are represented, you would see that some of these issues that pertain to women would significantly reduce, and there'll be progress. You can't have people that do not have the nuances and do not have the full story or the experiences making laws for women or deciding on budgets for women. It makes no sense. Also, it's been found that closing Nigeria's gender gap in economic sectors could yield between 9.3 billion and $22.9 billion. That was by a World Bank report of 2023. Lastly, it's also been found that full female economic participation globally would boost the GDP by an estimated 20%. It just backs the arguments that I am trying to make for the inclusion of women in politics, leadership, decision making. We pay taxes, we birth and we raise the next generation of the country. The laws that govern the country should include our voices. I want to do a quick comparison. Rwanda as a nation went through a genocide, right? However, Nigeria has had 60 years to build. Currently, Rwanda's parliament is 63.8 female, and it's the highest in the world, and it's a result of gender quota. There's a gender quota law for the parliament in Rwanda, so it's doable, really. I know currently there's a special seats bill in the National Assembly, and I think it's something that should be considered. So I've come to the end of the video, but I just want to say that the case studies in this video did not lose because they were not capable. They lost because the system was basically built against them. These women faced attacks, from fire attacks to kidnapping to smear campaigns to threats to all forms of violence you can think of. Gen Z women are watching all of this. There has never been a generation that has been more politically conscious. However, they are shut out, and it's because they have been shown repeatedly what politics costs a woman. So whether it's the violence in the streets, the one at party secretaries, the one at the legislative chambers, or even the ones in newsrooms, women are watching. Gen Z women are watching. Young women are watching. We see all these things, and this is the thing that keeps us out. Until the law names the harm has no consequence. And until the harm has consequences, the deterrent remains, which is political gender-based violence. A democracy where more than half of the population cannot safely run for office is not a democracy. It's basically a performance, and we are tired of performing.